Hello, my friends, and welcome to the More You Know podcast. This is Noelle Ames speaking, and today I have my very first guest. I'm so excited. Jordan Derrick. She is my Wanderlust on Instagram, and Wanderlust Weddings is your
mywanderlustweddings.com.
okay. mywanderlustweddings.com is how you can reach her. But I'm so excited because today I get to talk about photography and this woman has influenced my life so much, and just like the passion that she has behind her own business has really influenced how I show up for mine. So let's just dive in. Do you want to give like a little snippet about yourself?
So I started photography. I've wanted to be a photographer since I was like little, like a little girl. And it was never about like the picture taking. It was just like about making people feel good. And I didn't realize that up until about like a couple of years ago, actually. But I'm just like I've traveled a lot in my life. My parents divorced when I was really young. We went back and forth to Alaska, to Minnesota. I have a bunch of brothers. I have one sister. And my life has been absolutely chaotic. I mean, if you've ever been to Alaska before, you know life is not easy there. And I one time I've been homeless before. Like I'm not like it's hard to explain like how life is up there, but it's very, very different from here. So you actually have to learn to be self-sufficient and to like be able to get things done and problem solve constantly every single day. So that I think that living there, going through everything I did really created who I am today. It also caused a lot of anxiety with me. So I was actually afraid to go out in public, which is crazy because you're a photographer. Yeah. But I have 2 kids now, and I have my boyfriend. I live with my boyfriend in Hallock, Minnesota. We're in a small town, and I love it. Just got done with my studio, and well, we still need to put a door up, but we're getting there.
Okay, so I just have to backtrack because I can attest to the energy that you're talking about. Like every single time I've gone to a photography session with Jordan, I leave and I'm like literally high on life. Like I call her my free drug and that just shows me like what it feels like to be in the presence of someone that is living their like authentic purpose. Like you are truly living your purpose and you can feel it. Like it's palpable.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so, so cool. And which I'm sure we'll dive more into, but I'm sure that has driven you to keep going and to keep like never give up. And like you said, like your past has really developed that for you too, which I can also attest to. I'm like, how is she just like doing it? You know, like nothing ever seems to like stop you, you know, like I know when you're an entrepreneur, you encounter so many different like struggles and challenges and like, okay, I want to go a little bit further, but I don't know how. And it can be
Mm-hmm.
really there's no one there telling you what to do, right? You have
Right.
to figure it out on your own. And so it's been so inspiring to just see you do it. Like you're just like, okay, there's
Yeah.
a problem and I'm gonna figure it out. And then all of a
Yep.
sudden it's no longer a problem for you. So yeah, I just wanted to ask, I mean, you kind of already touched on it, but is there anything else you want to touch on as far as like what brought you to photography and like how did you know it was your passion?
I want to say when I got my first camera, and it was like just a little point and shoot, and I went around and took pictures like in the start in Alaska, and I started taking pictures of like flowers and like a kitty and like but it made my little sister so happy to see that stuff, and I was like, wait, I could actually like do this for people. And I kind of just like put it off for a while, but I still kind of like did it, and I was like, honestly, I was really bad at it, but you have to be bad at it in order to get better. I mean, honestly, it's how you learn. And I got my first DSLR camera when my son was born. So that is the reason why, sorry, my cat might like join in. That might be why, like, I mean, no, honestly, like that is why I started. Like, I didn't want to be at work all day when my kid was like growing up, and it's like I'm just not that type of mom. I don't tell people that they need to be stay at home and like do their own stuff, because people have different parenting and like their styles are completely different than others. So it's like I wanted to watch my children grow up. I wanted to be there for them. I wanted to be around them. And this was a great way to start my passion and then go up from there. And it's been really hard, really, really hard. I'm still struggling. I struggle every day, and like, that's okay. I have no
Oh my
problem
gosh,
struggling.
like this is such good stuff because you guys just go check her out on Instagram because if you looked at her stuff or looked at anything she's created, you'd be like, this girl just knows how to do this. She's always been good at this. And so for you to say that like you were bad at it at one point, I'm like over here like, no, there's no way.
You,
I mean,
oh,
I would probably pay hundreds of dollars for those kitty pictures because like you are so good at it. And like for me, you know, being someone on the outside, I would just look at your page and be like, well, she's always been good at this. And so I think that's really
mhm.
inspiring to entrepreneurs to like whatever you're passionate about, you can be bad at it at first. You're gonna get
You need
better.
to be bad.
Yeah, and that's how you
Mhm.
learn, like you just said. And then another thing you touched on that I love, I want to touch more on motherhood. Obviously, I'm becoming
Yes.
a mom. I love that
Yes.
you just said, like, that's what felt good to you, right? It felt
Yep.
right for you to stay at home. You're not judging anyone else for doing what feels right to them,
Yep.
but you're also like showing us that, like, whatever feels good to you, like, follow that. Like, don't be
Mhm.
afraid of that. And it will be hard. It's not going to be
It's so hard.
easy.
Yeah.
But it'll be
Yeah.
worth it, right? Then every
Mhm.
single day looks like what you want it to look like, and that's
Right.
worth it. So,
Right.
yeah, I loved all of that. Okay, so what
Yes.
keeps you going when like when you do hit like a roadblock or a challenge or there's something that you know you need to change in your business or maybe a boundary you need to set and you're like, gosh, man, it gets so hard, overwhelming. I really just want to throw in the towel. Like what keeps you going? Because you obviously don't have like a team or a boss, like you're your boss.
Mhm.
So, what do you do in those moments?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've actually been going through that last couple years. It probably goes like month on, month off. I'm not, that's how like common it is. I would say what all my research I've done, because it like, as a creative person, hitting like a roadblock is like, it is scary and it's sad and it's depressing. Um, and it's it's hard to explain and it's hard to tell people like exactly what to do because everybody's different. But for me, I just changed my focus. So we have a fixer-upper house. I forced myself to learn how to do electrical so I can do electrical in my own home because Minnesota's legal. We did get checked over. Everything's great. Like I did a really good job. Um, but like that learning something else helps take your mind off of like what you're struggling with, and then like you can come back and just like you're just like ready to go again. So we've learned how to do a lot of stuff in our house, and like I love fixing up houses. I love like working on my own car. I love doing stuff for myself, and that, so if I need to take a break, that's exactly what I go do.
Awesome. And what I hear you saying is so beautiful. Like, as creatives, like, we're not creative all of the time. That's just not how
No.
humans were made. And so I think it's really beautiful that you're saying, like, allow yourself to have those dips. You don't have to, like, sit in it and be, like, totally, like, submissive to it. You can go out and do something that's going to get you back on your feet, but to
Mhm.
push on and, like, that. I think we have that mantra in the creative community that's like, keep going, just keep creating. And you create
Oh
garbage.
my gosh.
Like you create
Yes.
absolute shit when you do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so allowing yourself to take a step back, it's the best thing that you could do for yourself, even if it feels depressing in the moment, because you do want to be creating. You wish it was coming all of the time, but that's not creativity. It's not always.
It's not. And like the whole point of like what I've really tried and found the last couple of years is that people think that like like photography, just photographers in general, that our lives are so amazing. And I was like, I'm really bad at faking things, and I'm really bad at lying to people or like trying to like manipulate people into thinking something
Really
else.
good
So
at being authentic.
yes, like I'm just like, but it's just because it just like that's who I am. Like it's so hard
Natural
for me
to you.
to fake something. So I'm like, they're gonna figure it out, and I don't want to be that kind of person. So anytime like I post something or anytime I'm going through something, I let everybody know because like I feel like somebody needs to be that person to be like, hey, I'm not perfect. My life is not perfect. You may think it is because all you see is photos and me working all the time, but it's like you have no idea what's going on behind closed doors. Like I went through a miscarriage back in January. Um, and I had to take so much time off and it brought me to a low place. And I let people know that. And you know what's crazy is like everybody who reached out to me and said like, I'm so sorry, stay strong. It's like, I don't even know who they are. I didn't know those people. I've never met them, but it's like the fact that people are willing to be like, hey, I'm thinking of you. It's like that is so important because like we're so it's so easy to fake our lives. So easy. And I'm not doing it. I'm not putting up with that. Like,
No, and I can feel that in your work. Like I said, I feel energized when I leave you because you are so authentic. And I love that you do that. And I'm probably drawn to you for that reason because
mhm,
like that creates connection. Vulnerability creates that connection.
exactly.
Connect with someone that's perfect all the time because nobody's perfect all the time. So,
Mhm,
like that when I think that's why you have such a big following and why you have you have this like cult following that just like, I will never leave you, like that's how I feel. Like, and that is created by that connection, by that, second layer. Like, yes, you take bomb ass photos. We know that. But there's also other people that do that too. So
right.
you add the second layer of like, hey, I'm also human. I'm also a really kick-ass human, but I also struggle like every
Mhm,
other person on this planet. And so, yeah, I've really, really resonated with you sharing those parts of your life because
mhm,
I mean, yeah, like that's what makes us feel like, oh, okay. Like if she can be, this talented photographer and make a living for herself and also go through these struggles, then I can too. Like you're
mhm.
inspiring so many people by sharing that level of your life. So I'm really
Right.
grateful for that.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's so crazy that like I'm to this point because like when a couple years ago, when I was first like getting like established in Grand Forks, um, I like I look back on it now and it's like I was so full of myself. And I don't want to say like I was like selfish, but I was just like I thought I was like amazing. But like I was very humble at the same time. But like inside my brain, I was like, gosh, I'm like I'm good. I don't need to do any better. I'm right where I need to be. And it's like, no, photography is so much more than that. It's uh it it's so hard to explain.
You're
Um
always learning. You're
it's
always,
about making people feel good.
yeah, yeah.
And that's what it is creating those connections. Like I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't
I
even talk
know.
to you
I'm sad.
if you hadn't reached out to me for yoga photos. And
Yeah,
then I do your wedding. And then they give a baby coming. And it's like, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. That is what I want to do the rest of my life. This is like I want to make these type of connections because I 110% believe like the person you are is who you're going to attract into your life.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, that's how they're going to connect with you. That's how they're going to be like, okay, I'm safe here. Like I can be
Mm-hmm.
myself here. And honestly, I have done photography in the past and I've also always felt really kind of organized or like trying to like robotic almost, and like
Mm-hmm.
it never turned out the way, obviously, because I'm again putting on this like fake scene of like, okay, I'm gonna take pictures. But then when I took pictures with you, I was like, I honestly felt like I was just having a conversation with my best friend and she was taking pictures of me. Like I was wearing a cute outfit and
Yeah.
like I would get to the end of our session, I'd be like, so did we get any? And then she'd show me like 100 like just killer photos. And I would leave feeling like I said, like I was on drugs. I was like, oh my gosh, like that is what it should feel like. And I was like, that is because of who you are, not your camera, not what
Mm-hmm.
software you use, not what editing style you have. Like all of that obviously is, great, is going to impact your business, on the editorial side. But when it comes to like the connection and the
Mm-hmm.
quality behind what you do, it's like, oh my gosh, I've never felt something so good in my entire life.
Right. Yeah, and but
Yeah.
that's the whole goal is like I've changed my like my entire just my brain, I've changed so much in the last couple of years that I'm just like, it's no longer about me. It's about changing somebody else's life to feel better about themselves. And it's like, I tell this story all the time. Like, there was a senior a couple years ago. Her mom had messaged me telling me how like beautiful she felt afterwards, and she's never felt so beautiful. Like, she's never felt that beautiful before, and it gave her so much confidence in herself. And it's like, this is what we need to do, especially with our seniors and our younger girls. Like, those people that are struggling, we need to help them. And it's like, it's hard to explain, because it's like, you have to be that type of person to be able to do that. Like, if you're a people person, and if people are drawn to you, with a little bit of training and like a lot of support from like a mentor or something, even just watching, being around other people like that, it will help you so much. But it's like, we have so much power to change the world, but we're
Absolutely.
not looking at it like that.
Yeah, I love, like, I am getting chills because, like, I think that that's what, like, I mean, the traditional, 9 to 5, get a job just to pay the bills is kind of just diminishing now. Like, we're starting
Mm-hmm.
to realize that, like, no, 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 like, we were put on this planet with a unique purpose, unique talents to serve others. And like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're in the service of others, you're going to continue moving forward monetarily, like, you're still going to make money, you're still going to
Yep.
provide for your family. That can be a thing. But like, as long as you stay rooted in that quality of serving others, like, you're going to make a huge impact on so many people. And that's felt all through the world. Like, right? Like, that girl probably went to her friends and said something that you said, or, shared her story, and all of a sudden they're impacted. And then their friends are impacted. It's a
Exactly.
ripple that just doesn't stop. And I mean, that's why you're so good at what you do, because, you're looking at it just so much deeper than a photo, right?
Because
Like,
it is.
it
Because it
is.
is deeper. You are not going to be a better photographer just because you have a better camera or a better lens, or you can edit better than somebody else. It's like, that only gets you so far. I mean,
And everyone can
if you
find
don't,
that, right? Like, if you
yeah.
take the time, everyone can have the same tools. I mean, we all have access to all the same tools. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what makes you unique is that human quality that you're bringing to it.
Yes. And that is hard to come by. But I want to change that. I want people to start thinking of the connections that we need to make, and we need to change people's lives for the better. We need to use our resources to do that. And it's like, just like how many sessions I've done with clients that I've never met before. Like, when we leave, like, I'm giving hugs. The moms are so happy. We're having such a good time. Like, I literally, there's so, like, in the last like 2 weeks, there's been like 4 different people that I'm like, I feel like I've known you my whole life. And I've never met them ever. But it's like, though, like, those are the people that I want to work with, because it's like, we're so comfortable, and it's like, we're making they're making them happy, and that's what it is. The pictures could turn out horrible, but it's like, I mean, not horrible, but not as like the
Not in your
best.
case.
But like as
But
long
I
as
think this is
they
a
know
good
they have
testament
time.
to, like how to attract your tribe. Like, I think there's a lot
Yeah.
of people out there that are like, how do I attract a clientele? And I think this is a really good testament to, yes, you can go out there and get all those algorithms and do all the hashtags and have this different advertising, but really that only gets you so far. Again, everyone can do that. But like, you bringing that human quality and being in service of others and being authentic in yourself, that's,
Mm-hmm.
you probably don't even ever have to reach out to anyone. People
I
are
do.
probably always coming to you, because word of mouth is the best advertisement that you could ever have.
Mm-hmm.
And by you giving that experience to one person, again, it's ripple effect. And then all of a sudden your business is growing on its own, right? You're not having to go out there and it doesn't feel good to use
Mm-hmm.
those different mechanisms and, not feel like someone's coming to you for your service, right? It feels so much better when you are being, approached and saying, hey, I want whatever you have because it's so good. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously it's deeper than the photos. Yes, I want the photos, but I want this experience. Like,
Exactly. And it's all about the experience.
yeah.
And
Okay, we
it's
could talk about that forever. I have to ask you another question. Okay, so my next question for you is, how do you set boundaries? So obviously you own and run your own business. I see you do it. You do it like a badass. And how do you set boundaries so that you don't get like anxious or overwhelmed or too much on your plate? And like, how do you take care of yourself in the meantime of also wanting to give the most that you possibly can?
So with 2 children with COVID this year, it's been really hard to set boundaries. But I did, so me personally, when we moved my computer to the studio, things with the children worked a lot better because they realized like this is mommy's area where she works. Where I used to work in the living room with them. Like that's not good for me. Because they think they can just bug me. But so as far as like boundaries for the children, that has worked, but they still need things it's I want to say I'm not like the best person for this question because I struggle every day for it, but I just like
But
it's
I love that, like having your own personal space. It's like
yes, it's so
money.
important.
Like that is so important, even for your own brain to be like, okay, once I walk into this space, now I'm on. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating. Now I'm in work mode. Because I found, and I've been an entrepreneur for like 3 years now too. Like you can always be on if you don't catch yourself because you don't have that. Okay, I'm at work now. I'm getting dressed for work. I'm showing up to work. Here's my boss. Here's my office. We don't naturally have that unless we create that for ourselves. So I think that is an amazing tip to give someone is like create a workspace for yourself. If you don't have kids, you can have it in your living room, but have it be set up and like very traditional, a same place every time where you're coming in, and then your brain is reminded like, okay, now we're working. And then when you leave, allowing yourself to just keep it there, to leave it there, to not think about it, to go back into the present moment and be present with your kids, which I also see you doing with your kids. They love you so much. They're so fun to be around. But like, I can tell that you're fully present with them when they're, in your presence and you're talking to them, but then you're also fully present in your photography when that's what you're doing. So I see that tip coming out of you is just like being all there, wherever you are, being all there.
Yep, exactly. And don't ever work where you're sleeping. Like don't bring your work to your bed. Don't bring your work to like somewhere you don't want to be bothered. Like you have to have a set space, just like you said. And they say you have like a studio apartment, for instance, and someone's like, oh, I don't have space. I don't have a room for like an office or something. But like if you would just like put your desk in a corner, maybe put like up what are they called? Those dividers, something to get you like away from your actual living area. That helps so much. So I mean that alone, like that like me moving into my studio, it was a game changer. Like I've gotten a whole bunch more done.
Yeah. And it's just, I think our brains just do better with that.
They
Like they're
do.
just like there is something to be said for having an office space. Yes, like some days you can be spontaneous and go to a coffee shop or go to go in your living room or go lay in your bed if you're having like a casual day because you are your own boss and you can do that whenever you want. But for the most of the time, like if you want to be productive and really get stuff done and not be just all over the place, like, yeah, having that set space that just says, hey, we're working now, and tells
Right.
everyone else, hey, I'm working now, like
Right.
a lot of people can take advantage of your time because you are always there, but it's like, no, I still run a business. Like I'm still doing
Right.
things. So, okay.
Um
What's my next question for you? What tips do you have for a beginner photographer? Someone that's thinking about starting their career or maybe already has and is just like really wanting to get really into it. What would be your tips for them when they're starting out?
okay, so if they have nothing yet, completely just like, oh, I'm thinking about doing it. The first thing I tell everybody is skip the crop frame cameras. They are a waste of money. Just like the amount of money that you could spend on a full frame, it'll bring you so much more further. And you're gonna look at these prices and they're gonna scare you on the cameras, but like it's just don't waste your money on crop frame cameras. And that goes for your equipment. It's like just get a good lens, get a full frame. The way I say it is like, always think of like your camera as like your processor, and then look at your lens like the quality. So you can put a crappy lens on a full frame camera and it would be crappy. Or you can put a really nice lens on like a crop frame and it actually be prettier. Okay. So it's like,
Yeah.
they go hand in hand, but the first thing I always tell people, skip the crop frames. So second would be shoot for free. I used to be against that, but our industry, it's so crazy how everybody thinks that they can get things for cheaper, because we have beginning photographers that are, charging $50 for a session and they don't know really what they're doing yet. But if you like, I still work for free to this day. I do a lot of free work. So like, I don't like, doing stuff for free is not a bad thing, especially if you don't know how to do something. You should never be charging somebody for something you don't know how to do. So shoot for like the first year and just take like a model session, like maybe like once a week, to understand like people skills, because people skills are so important. It's like so much more than just your picture taking. You need to know how to deal with every type of personality. So when you walk into a room, especially at a wedding, and you go look through all the people there and the entire party, and they're talking to you, you can exactly pinpoint how they're going to be that day, what issues you could possibly face with them, with just saying a couple sentences. Like, that's how good you need to be with people. If somebody's having like a hard time, like, see like what is stressing them out, and you have to like learn how to get rid of that stress for them, especially during your sessions, because children are crazy. Like, but you have to learn that. It has nothing to do with the picture taking. It's like, you have to learn your people skills. So shoot for free the first year. I would reach out to like a mentor of some sort once you're ready to go forward, and even ask. There's tons of groups on Facebook for like to show like, hey, do you guys think I'm ready to start charging? And a lot of people will be very forward with you, and if you feel like you're ready to start, then start. But don't be afraid to work for free at first. There's
Yeah,
no
I love
problem with
that,
that.
because that's like putting experience first and saying that nothing's better for you to get better than experience, like real life
Right.
experience. So, and that's getting it, you're creating it yourself by doing that. So I think
Right.
that's awesome. And because like with anything, I think that's the best teacher. Yes, you can go out there and learn all the things on YouTube, but getting
Right.
in the arena is when you actually, confront those challenges, and then you're like, oh, now I have to figure out how to interact with this person and how to
Mm-hmm.
get them to be authentic and smile. And I'm sure there's a way, I mean, I don't know how you do it with me. It's like a magic potion, but like there's a way to
Whatever,
bring
you're
out the
amazing.
best in people. And that I feel like you have to learn by interacting with people. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that's beautiful. Is
Yeah.
there anything else? Any other tips you would give to a newbie, like someone that's like just got their first camera and they're super pumped but they're overwhelmed?
Okay, so if they are super pump overwhelmed because they probably don't know their settings yet, ask to second shoot a wedding. Find somebody. You will not get paid for it. Most likely just because it's like, you're not probably going to give enough images or produce the right images for it. But if you were to second shoot a wedding for an entire day, you are going to learn so much more in that day, because everything is on a schedule. You have to be able to be organized and know what to do next and communicate with everybody all day long. And it just like opens up your brain to just be like, oh my gosh, this is really, really hard. But if you surround yourself with the people that are willing to help you, you'll get there. But you're going to learn so much more about your camera that day. You're going to learn about people skills. You're going to learn probably too much that day, where you actually probably will feel overwhelmed at the end of the day. But you're going to wake up refreshed and be like, hey, like, I know so much more than I did yesterday, because it is the perfect teaching tool.
Yeah.
Second shooting at a wedding.
And I don't know exactly what you're offering at the moment. Are you offering mentorships at the moment?
I mean, if somebody asked me if they needed my help, I would do it.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I didn't know if you're doing like any Zoom calls or like anything of that. I know that you're always down to help, but I didn't know if you had anything
yeah.
in your schedule.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you guys could reach out to her, my Wanderlust on Instagram. And then okay, another question for you. What is like, so like you said, we like to glamorize what life is like for a photographer. What would be like a typical day for you if you were shooting, if you're actively working? What would that like from the start of like, entering, like you have a client, you're working with that client, and then them getting their photos? What does like that look like to you?
Okay, so first we booked the session. Do you want me to go like that in
Yeah,
depth? Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so we like email back and forth. Sometimes I get ghosted. Actually, like a lot of times I get ghosted. And I just like, we're real people. If you don't want anything, just let me know. So at least no, I actually got like they saw it, you know. So we email back and forth, and if they're willing, if they want to start their session, they would pick a date, and then they pay their retainer for their date, and then they sign their contract. So I have a big contract that people have to sign. It covers everything. It also has a model release. That's very important that your model release is in your contract and that's very clearly stated on there. You don't want anything hidden or hard to read because people will not trust you if they see that. So once that is done, we figure out a location. I've been pushing a lot of people to come up north here for sessions, and they've loved it and then actually did not want to leave. So that's working really well. So we'll shoot. I probably take typically about an hour and a half. I go pretty quick. I don't like keeping people for too much longer than that because it gets kind of boring, but not boring, but like it's kind of like the same thing over and over and over again. So then lately, well, this year I really started doing proofs. So I send them proofing galleries, and then they just pick out the amount of images that they purchased, and then like editing done. It just depends on how my weeks go. Like sometimes it's within a week, sometimes it take up to 4 weeks. Like it just depends because COVID and children at home is so hard.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it is so difficult. But I let people know like, hey, I'm working on things. I'm like getting there. But it's like I have a million things I have to do, especially I have 2 children I need to take care of all day long. So that's actually put a lot of damper in my productivity this year. So their gallery is delivered and they can download them for personal use and web use, and that's it. It's
Awesome.
There's a lot more to it, of course, but like
As far as like systems and all the things you do to edit, and like yeah, you can dive into that probably for like 7 years because it's
right,
just
literally, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I've been doing Photoshop since I was 12.
Yeah, and another thing I would point out is I love that you point out you're just transparent with them. Like if you do have, a lot on your plate, like even if COVID's not here, you probably, have some busier weeks than other ones. And I feel like as long as you're transparent with people and say, hey, like I am paying attention to your content. I'm so excited to edit it and I'm going to get it to you by this date. Sorry, it's a little delayed or whatever it is. Like
Right.
people just enjoy that transparency. They're not going to be mad if you're,
Right.
honest about it at least.
And the people that we hear the bad stuff about are the people that will wait like a whole year. Like you see lawsuits like flying all over the place. It's like, and everybody always says like, well, if they would have just told me or even communicated, hey, my pitch, everything's gonna be super late, blah blah blah. Like that is what makes people mad.
Yeah. So what tips would you have for like a model or someone that's getting photography done by you? Like coming into a session, like how do I feel more comfortable? Like what outfits do I wear? Like any tips there? Like
so so the first thing I actually say to them is like, you're gonna feel so awkward.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel awkward. And like it literally the like their face, it goes, oh
yeah.
Okay.
Like permission to be awkward. Awesome.
Okay. And then I also say like always wear your least favorite outfit out of the outfits that you picked out first. Because like you're gonna like warm up, but like the first outfit you're probably not gonna like too much from it. And that's actually worked 100% of the time is when I'm very forward, like, hey, it's okay to feel awkward. You're going to feel awkward with me. And before I didn't like showing people the back of my camera because I'm like, it's not the real thing. And when I started doing that, they're like, oh my gosh, like that's me. Like I look like that. And it's not even edited yet. And they love it.
Well, yeah,
Or
because you captured the best of people. Like, I remember that experience myself being like, oh my gosh, like, I feel like so much more beautiful behind your lens than I do like looking in the mirror, which
you've
is so
said it a million times.
I have. And she's like, do you say anything bad about yourself? I'm like, I don't
You
know.
don't.
You just make me feel good, okay?
I remember that. Yep.
But I love that tip. And then like, yeah, wearing your worst outfit first, like I can totally see that working because then you get that awkwardness out and then all of a sudden you have your bomb outfit on and you're like,
Yes.
do this.
Yes. So that works so well, especially with like my younger clients. They're like, well, really? Like, yes. And then within about 5 minutes, I was saying like about 5-10 minutes, you're gonna feel so much more better about everything. And it works.
Sweet.
It does.
Any
So
other?
you're just like, you have to build that confidence in them, especially if they're worried. So if you're starting model, like I tell this to everybody, do not just work for anyone because we have a scary industry where people have been like, especially for in Minneapolis, like I don't want our area to end up like Minneapolis, but there are people that will take advantage of you. And make sure you research your photographer that you want to work with, because if someone's willing to learn, I will take them. And if they're willing to work with my schedule, I will take them in a heartbeat and I will teach them how to do things. It's people who are just too picky, or actually their standards aren't high enough. It's like, if your standards aren't high in the photography world, we are the ones who would make you look the way you want to look. And if you're just going to anybody just because you want your picture taken, like you're not doing it for the right reasons. Like,
yeah, and I love that you touch on, I like kind of want to dive into that because I mean, we're seeing just like child pornography and child abuse and child trafficking so much that it's something that we definitely need to talk about. And there's something when I was diving into that, I think you might have posted it. It was like a tip to bring a buddy, like bring a friend, or if you're really young, bring your parents with you to, like, if they're not comfortable with your parents being there or you having a buddy with you, then they're not the photographer you should be taking pictures with.
And they shouldn't. And people need to know that. Also, we need to have like somewhere where we can show people like, hey, this person, I don't trust them. I mean, it's scary. It is so scary how easy it is to just manipulate these young girls into trying to say like, hey, you're so beautiful, let me take a picture of you. And it happens so much.
And I would say it's probably because, you know, I'm not saying every woman's like this, but when you are starting that career as a model, you are vulnerable, you are sensitive, you may be insecure, you may be, you know, you want that validation. And so if someone meets you with that validation, it's really easy to just dismiss all of the other red flags you may be seeing.
Yes.
And, you know, that's just like, obviously pay attention to those. Make sure, like, I love how you said, just do your research, like dig into this person. There's probably, you know, reviews on this person, or, you know, you can even get in touch with past models that they've taken pictures of and asked about their experience with them. Like, that's something I would do. And like, I just think don't go anywhere alone. And like, obviously I'd go anywhere alone with you, but like after I've known you for a while and, you know, like, I'm comfortable with you, I know who you work with, you know, like I trust you. But like, if I were to take pictures with a random person, I would be bringing someone with me. I would be checking in with other models that they took pictures of, asking them like, how was the experience? And I would just do, like, it's not worth it, right? Like, obviously,
right, exactly.
like, there are amazing photographers out there that aren't going to take advantage of you. So if you just do the research, you can really, you know, protect yourself in that way.
And that's all it is about. It's just to make sure nothing happens to you, because you're so vulnerable at that beginning stage, because it's like, you know, you just want to feel good in your own skin. And if somebody's telling you that you look really good, you're going to believe them. I did when I was 19 years old. I had somebody kind of be like, hey, I want to do this with you. And it was completely something that I was so uncomfortable with. But I had a lot of insecurities and very like body image issues. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I didn't do it. But it's like, I look back on it now, like, he literally manipulated me into, like,
thinking that was okay. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Also thinking you're not invincible, right? Like even to this day, like people could probably take advantage of to me if I'm not like paying attention to it and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
really like educating myself on this culture and what this looks like, what modeling is, right? Look at it for what it is. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it can be wonderful. It can be your total income. It can take you places, but
Yep.
also like there is a negative side to everything. Everything is
Mm-hmm.
50-50 in my mind. You know,
Right.
everything has a dark side. And so just educating yourself on that is just going to help you so much. And like the last thing we want is for you to obviously end up in that space and then
Right.
have it totally be ruined for you, right? Then you wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
even want to do photography ever again. So
Right.
let's get out of the dark because we just educated and now I don't want to talk about it anymore. So my last question before like we just talk and you can share whatever else you want to share.
Sure.
I like to ask this question. So like, what's your definition of a well-lived life? And what I mean by that is like, at the end of your life and you look back, what have you done or what has your life felt like or like what are the beliefs and ideas or like, you know, anything. Like it can be anything, but what does your life look like when you get to the end and you're like, yeah, I killed it.
So I want to say I'm on that track right now because I've really found what that life would be for me. And I've already kind of started it the last few months and just realizing it. Like, I like to make people feel good about themselves and make people happy and like see things that like they may not see and be resources for people who don't have resources and give people voices who don't have the voice. It's it's just like, as long as I make somebody's life better and help someone realize like their potential and like their abilities that they may not know they have, um that is so fulfilling in itself. And it's like, that is what I'm creating the rest of my life. That's what I'm doing from now until the day I die, is to try and change people's lives.
I love
And
that. And what I hear is that what you're saying to me is that you're going to use your influence and like your talent and your skill that you were given and your
mhm,
passion and your purpose to help others get further along their journey and to
yes.
see the potential in themselves. It's almost like you're this like beam of light that's like, hey, I'm going to fully express myself. And so that you know that you can do it too, that there's room for you to be fully
Mhm.
expressed here too. And not like you're not doing it like you said maybe in the past you did it in like an egoic way where you were like, hey, look at me. Now it's more like, hey, look at me so you can see you too, right?
Exactly.
There's enough room for everyone to be fully expressed. And like I can hear you saying like, I want to use my influence and where I've gotten to today to help others see that they can get there too, which is
Exactly.
that's
And that's, and I've already started it. I've
yeah,
started doing,
absolutely.
like, there are big things coming. Like, I'm getting there.
Oh, and I
Um
would say when you do that, you start to attract that in your life, right? It automatically starts coming to you more when you're living in that space of service. You find more ways to serve, you find more
right.
ways to help other people. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, is there
So
anything else that you would, you know, want to touch on as far as photography or motherhood or living a good
um
life? It's been
it's
so much fun talking to you.
I know I could talk with you for the hours. um
How can they reach you? How can people reach you? Like, what's the best
oh,
avenue?
so my Instagram, of course, is _my_wanderlust, or my website is www.mywanderlustweddings.com, and you just fill in an inquiry form. Those are both like my main ones, but I always try and tell people go right to my website too, just so I know they're not bots, because I get a lot of bots.
Yeah.
As far as like touching base on anything, I guess you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to make a bunch of mistakes, or you're gonna burn out so fast. So fast. So don't be afraid to look stupid. Don't be afraid to look like you don't know what you're doing, because most likely nobody knows you don't know what you're doing, but like you have to take that big chance. And it's like we are in charge of so much in the world right now that we don't even know we have the power to do. And we need to fix that. We need to fix that in our photographers.
Yeah, giving yourself permission to fail forward. I love that, because
Yep.
then, like you said, you won't burn out because you'll just expect it. You'll be expecting failures and not look at them as failures, but a lesson, like a
Right.
way to learn something. And then all of a sudden, once you learn that, that's in your toolbox forever, and you don't
Right.
have to learn it again. And you have that now skill that you learned from that failure. So yeah, I think when we put this idea out there that we won't fail and we should just be good at it from the start, whatever it is, we're really just keeping ourselves from ever progressing, from
Right.
ever getting anywhere. So
Right.
I love that. And then as far as offerings, you're more devoted to weddings right now, but are you still doing like seniors and other stuff, or what are you
So
offering?
I'm not marketing for seniors, but if they want me, I take them. And then weddings, I mean, COVID happened, and I think it's been actually crazy this year, and next year it's gonna be crazy too. But I'm just like, I guess it doesn't really matter what they want as long as they want me to do it for them.
I love that. Yeah, like they're coming to you specifically
Yes.
for what you have to offer them. And
Yes.
then, so you would say that you can find everything on your Instagram and your website as far
Mhm.
as signing up with you and connecting with you. Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to end this for the podcast. It's been such a joy. You guys follow her on Instagram. She's next level. And if you're in North Dakota, Minnesota, or willing to travel to those areas, I'm sure you travel for weddings too.
I love
Yeah.
traveling.
So, I mean, wherever you are, just reach out to this human being because you will not be disappointed. I felt like, so she did my wedding. She's also taking a lot of pictures of my family, just like my whole life. Like, I feel like all the seasons you've been there for me, but it's been so nice having that outlet of, capturing my life. And now I have all of these memories that are in a beautiful form that I could never do myself. And you can't put, a label on it. Like, it's just so good. I can't even put it into words. So
Well,
I
thank
would
you.
reach out to her. I highly, highly recommend Jordan. And yeah, thank you for spending your time with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, I need to stop this.